ticker. All right. Dun, dun. We're live. We're live. Right on time, too. 9 o'clock. Not a motherfucking clock. Oh, Lord. What up, world? Let me just check on something, shine. Hold on now. I'm trying to get this shit together. Hold up. Give me a second. Make sure this is streaming. Righty. All right, I hope everything is streaming good. www.gabnetwork.com. I am Sophia Ionic Spirit in the building. I got a dynamic show. First, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who gave me a happy birthday shout out on Facebook for the G.A.A.B birthday. This is the G.A.A.B birthday. It's been a good couple of years, a nice good run. So I'm happy to say that I can celebrate and bring something new and dynamic to the network for today. So I put together this. I don't know if y'all can see it. No, this one right here. This is a good book right here. This is all about the books right here. You can see it right here. Review. We're going to be reviewing the story 178 Worlds Under the Great Dome. Okay. Written by Claudio NOCELLI, and this was told by a female named Helen Morris, and what happened to her dad, William Morris, and her experience living in one of the worlds outside of our dome. So, yeah, it's really interesting. I'm just going to dive right into it. It's been really, really good because let me just change this to this view to a different view. 1 second. I really got to get this shit together where I got to be doing stuff ahead of time. You feel me? Oh, my bad. Better. All right. So, yeah. So this is the book. So this what we're talking about, and this book is so interesting. I think I'm going to have a lot of documentaries on it, because like the stuff that she is talking about is like so interesting, and if it's something that could be disproven, I would like to disprove it. If it's something that is proven, I would like to prove it. It's a really tricky situation because, as you know, we, the public, are not allowed to explore Antarctica and Antarctica. So it's just like it's going to be hard to prove her story. It's going to be hard to disprove her story until the government open up the opportunity for us to adventure beyond the ice. Just to even fact to have a topic with 178 worlds under the Great Dome, it's just like mind blowing. Who thinks about something like that? Because we think like our existence is what it is. You know, we know the continents on our planet. We know Earth. We know it to be a certain way. So to have someone come in and throw a monkey wrench in the game and be like, well, guess what? It's 178 other worlds in addition to your world, like 178 other domes. Let me say it. I'm gonna try to speak in like a more accurate way where you could easily understand, instead of saying 178 worlds, but 178 different domes under our dome. I think that's very interesting. And if you could see the image here on the screen, right? There is a lot of similarities in what we would call planets, according to the names that they have named these domes. And it is just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. The Anunnaki lands, the land of Neptune. Look at this, land of Neptune. Like, we know Neptune for all these names. We like these are planets, right? But in this book, she's saying that these are domes, right? These are not planets. And these domes are reachable once you pass the ice. And but we have yet to, be able to explore past the ice again, because we're the public and the government has Antarctica on lockdown. And so like I said, it's going to be really hard to prove or disprove anything, but I think everybody should definitely get this book. And I don't know if you can see this, but I highlighted, look at this, a lot of the passages in the book, probably like some of the most important information. um I highlighted it so that it's easier to find when it's time to go back and reference what it is that she's trying to relate to us. And so one of the things it says, that this is one of the passages. This is on page 4. It's right in the very beginning of the first chapter of the book. And it's Helen Morris, who was born in the land, all right, behind the ice walls. Can you guys see that? I hope you can see that, because I do have a presentation, like a short presentation that I put together. So not just to kind of like go see where her story is going, where it's taking us. And it was very interesting what I was able to put together in a short amount of time, just based off of the knowledge that I know. And so I was able to include that into the storyline that she is telling us, so you can have a better interpretation. So on page 4, chapter 1, it says, this humanity seems to be paying for the sin of its past of having tried to be free. Now, isn't that interesting? We're paying for a sin of our past having tried to be free. The free side, she says, is behind the ice walls. So, in other words, the enslaved side is right here, right now, this earth where we live at, this dome, like what we know of. We're not free. In other words, is what she's saying. This is on page 4. Okay. If anybody has gotten the book, you could turn to page 4. You could go to and read it for yourself, or reread it for yourself. Now, it's interesting to say that she was born miles away from here, right? Um, Let me go and adventures within to find land, blah blah blah. In the land of the giants. This is where she says she was born. In the land of the giants, miles away from here. And that this land is land that deprives us of our freedom and our true history. All this was on page 4. Okay. She says that these beings called custodians wanted to bury a large part of human history and manipulate it. And worst of all is that they convinced us of that the history is true. And now many of us defend the history and defend the lands that we inhabit. Ain't that a bitch? Well, it ain't me. Because let me tell you, I don't trust nothing fucking government tells me. Oh, excuse my French. I gotta stop cursing. Fuck it. I don't trust nothing the government tells me. So, with that said, I am not one of these people to defend uh history as we know it today, quote unquote. Like, fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that person. You know what I'm saying? I do believe in, from studying history a long time, that so much of our history is distorted. So much of our history has been given to us in a form of lies, and I tend to blame the government as far as politics and propaganda and all the things that go into politics. But in this book, she's saying that it's a group of beings called the custodians. Okay, the custodians. And then she also goes to talk about another group of beings called the Anunnaki. Now that I want to get into. As far as these custodians is concerned, I've never heard of them before until reading this book. Again, I've never heard of this group of beings called the custodians until I read this book. Now the Anunnaki, yes, I've heard. I've researched, I've done all of that for a long time over. So we'll get into some of that, but eventually I want to find some type of information outside of this book on this group called the custodians. I think it would be imperative in to understanding what she's saying to be able to see if there's any relevance or truth into what she's saying about this group. Um, and she tends to call them parasites. So that's another. Whew, anytime you call somebody a parasite, it's nothing good about that. Um, so that's all of that could be, uh, all of that could be found on page 4. Another thing she points out is something that I spoke about in the last video, where she says, in addition to us not being free, we live in a place of high toxicity of what we breathe, eat, and drink. And I touched on this before about, and this you could 100% um, blame those that are in power of these big corporations, food corporations, big pharma, all of that stuff about poisoning the food, okay, poisoning the water, poisoning the air. Okay, that shit is fucking disgusting. All right, what they have done to us as far as like poisoning us is horrible. It's horrible, and it's constantly to keep people sick. They do it to keep people sick. They do it to keep control. They do it to decrease the population numbers. It's a lot of different reasons why those that are in power poison the air, the food, and the water. It's unfortunate, but they do it. If you go and you could, test any of the waters, I highly doubt you're going to find any healthy water. That's why I have a water company business, because those bastards will do anything to trick us up and to get us sick. They'll do anything to trip us up and to get us sick. So we have to like be aware of what they're doing um so that we could defend ourselves in essence against it and protect our well-being. Um So that's one of the things she talks about. And she says that this is done by the hands of these parasitic custodians. Okay. And we're moving into page 5 when she says that. And she talks about her father, William Morris, a bit about him, how he swore to defend and rescue us, this humanity, from these parasitic beings. Um, but eventually, if you when you get further deep into the story, he dies coming back over here, from some technology that they have in the sky, where they uh, disintegrate any type of aircraft that is flying over in the air over certain parts of Antarctica. So that is very interesting. You have to really read the book in order to get to that point. And then it's like, damn, did that really happen to him? If it did happen to him, it's very unfortunate and sad to hear about that. What's all that? I'm on the live. Me? Yeah. Uh, well, all right, whatever. But anyway, when my husband coming in with a whole bunch of stuff, go over there so you don't interrupt me. What's that? Put it over there, babe. Yeah. So anyway, back to the book. Uh, we're talking about these parasitic beings called the custodians. She then goes on to say how they manipulate us in such basic ways as putting different colors in imaginary limits. Um, yeah, it's interesting, right? Putting different colors and imaginary limits. She also talks about uh, all kinds of ways that they divide us, and how millions of people lose their lives, even voluntarily, by thinking they are doing it in a just cause, fighting for some war, government bullshit um, that they tend to have soldiers go out and fight for, and a lot of them unfortunately lose their lives in doing so. So uh, it's sad to know that this is happening, but of course, we all know for the longest time that this is happening. So it's very interesting to read her book, to understand her perspective as to why she wants this knowledge out here, 178 different domes, and why she wants us to all know about it and to waking up. Uh, this is for me. Who the fuck is that? Oh, I love Beetlejuice. Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, as y'all can see, my husband keep coming in here interrupting me. You want to come say hi? You know, all up in the what you call. You can say hi. Did you say hi? They can see you. You can't see them because I got this presentation up. But all right, now get out of here. Um, what the fuck? Let me see. Damn. Um, I done lost my train of thought now. He coming in here showing me stuff and all this stuff from sweaters and stuff. All right, as y'all can see, he just bought me a Beetlejuice sweater, another hoodie. I love hoodies. You see, I got my Vans hoodie sweatsuit on right now, but I got a new. He just bought me a new Beetlejuice hoodie. Yeah, it's pretty dope too. It's pretty dope, pretty dope, pretty dope. Let me see. Let me get out of here so I can see my face with y'all. See what y'all see, because I can't see nothing. All right. I wish I could. Let me see if I could put this on. All right, I put this on. I'm gonna leave it up there for a second. This is my phone number, 917-960-4159. It is a public number. If anybody wants to get in on a topic, you can call this number. It'll come straight to me on my computer, and everybody will hear your point of view. So, talking about 178 different domes. And now I'm gonna go back. See the book, y'all see the book, y'all see the book. All right. Um, Written by Claudio NOCELLI, and but the information that was provided to him by Helen Morris and her father, William Morris. So yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So again, you have to cross the domes. I'm kind of freestyling off the top. You have to cross the domes and or the this dome. You have to leave this dome, and apparently the entrance is once you pass Antarctica, the Antarctic ice walls, and you go through some mountains and blah, 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 then you'll be able to reach a free society of humans. So that shit is crazy in and of itself. She talks about the ways that you could cross other than the ice, crossing the ice walls. It's mentioned in this book. She says that you can go to these different domes through the water as well, and that there's openings in the water, passageways in the water that will take you to a different dome. So that is crazy, but also not far fetched because the oceans, as we know, a lot of it is unexplored. Majority of this planet is water. So it doesn't surprise me that you can go through the water to get to some of these different areas. Um, this makes me like, I wish I was like, oh, I wish I was a scientist where I built submarines and stuff like that. So, like, I wonder what the fuck they found down there. It's always fascinating to know and interesting to know uh, that you can enter through the water. You can also enter through passing the ice. Now, it gets deeper in this book as far as passing the ice, that they have these zoned areas where they have some type of technology that will not allow you to cross the ice by air. So if you're trying to fly over the Antarctic ice walls, they have some type of technology to shoot you down. And according to her, disintegrate you completely, you, your craft, and everybody on board. Um, that is fucking crazy. But this is the kind of stuff that she's talking about in this book. It's almost, it's like sci-fi. It's like out of this world. You know what I'm saying? It's like you almost can't believe it, but you can believe it based off of human history that has been left behind. And human history that has left behind almost goes hook, line, and sinker with some of the stuff that she is talking about. Again, with these custodian beings that she's talking about, this parasitic race, I don't know who these people are or who these beings are. I've never heard of custodians up until this point, up until reading this book. But I kind of have an idea of just being on this planet of who they are. But to avoid any type of stereotyping of certain demographic of people, I'm going to hold that to myself. I'm going to hold that to myself. Maybe at another time, another place, another show, we might get into stuff like that. Because, you know, at the end of the day, I don't give two flying shits about being politically correct. You know, and I'm not one of these big corporations. I don't get all of these views. I don't get all that. So guess what? I don't care about being politically correct. You know, so one day we'll get into whom I think these custodian peoples are. Uh, so right now, she's saying that the only just cause that we should ever be fighting for is our freedom. And our freedom can only come by tearing down the curtains around us and lifting the veil. I say that all the time. It's a veil over our eyes, blindsided over our eyes. People can't see beyond their eyesight because of that veil, right? And that veil comes long and deep. It's like religion is a veil held over your eyes, right? You can't see past your belief system, your religion, right? Um, culture, your culture, right? Your demographic, or your geography, where you're from, where you're born. All of these things create a whole bunch of veils over our eyes that keep us caught up and complacent in our thoughts and our so-called reality, but our reality is just a small little window of a larger picture, right? So we gotta get rid of that. We gotta get rid of that veil. So I agree with her um, when she says that. I agree with her 110%. So She says she's going to try to bring clarity, of course, is what the book is for, about the subject of known lands and the subject of other worlds behind the ice walls. Known lands and the subject of other worlds behind the ice walls. Okay, and she is going to get into detail about everything she knows about the civilizations of each of these, also called planets, which and domes, planets or domes, whatever the fuck you want to call them. She's going to get into detail about it. And then she also likes to thank, she gives a recognition, a credit to um, a book called Shikai, from a giant human, that was given to her father from a giant human, who had the knowledge of this new humanity and how we was manipulated and conditioned and how they exploit us from childhood. So, a book given to them by a giant human. She says she was born in the land of giants, a land outside of into another dome. So I find that interesting when you're talking about giants and you're talking about land and um, some of the things that she says. She also says that they reset this dome by using some sort of cataclysm, okay, that will happen to us, that will wipe out, majority of civilization as we know it, and then we have to restart or reset. um they reset us. And so if we understand the process of what they're doing and how they reset us and how they accelerate this process, then we have some knowledge to start keeping our history, I guess, after these resets. And this is interesting. Now that part is interesting because if people, the Bible thumpers, they love to Bible thump about the flood, right? But there's archaeological evidence that shows there was some sort of cataclysm on the planet, and they show in the rock settlement, if you study science in any type of way, well, you'll see that the water was elevated, was low, then elevated, then went back down. So there's some kind of basis, I guess you could say, or foundation when it comes to the cataclysm of the Great Flood. Now, I can't say if it was an asteroid that caused it or was it rains, 30 days, 30 nights type of shit, rains and all that. Like, I can't say what caused the Great Flood, but there is, in certain areas, let me say that, in certain areas, proof that a major flood has happened. Okay. There's also and proof that asteroids have hit this planet. There's proof of that. Okay. Um. So, as far as cataclysms are concerned, is this happening naturally, or is this something that this parasitic race is causing? That's interesting. Um. What do you what would be your thoughts? I don't know. I can just tell you my own thoughts because this is all presented by me. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, so there she's also goes on to know, and I'm summarizing the first chapter because I'm not trying to read this whole chapter to you on this live. So I'm summarizing what she's talking about. And so far I've spoken to you about the 178 different domes. I've spoken to you about it being outside of Antarctica. Um, or you can reach them once you pass the ice walls of Antarctica, and you can reach them through the water, is what she's saying. She's also spoke about coming from a land of giants and also having information bestowed upon us to protect humanity from giants. So, I mean, not from giants, but protect the information to protect humanity has come from giants. Let me say that the correct way. All of this is in her book. But at the same time, when you're talking about giants, she talks about the Anunnaki. And according to her, I have to, like, it's going to be a whole situation. Matter of fact, let's just move forward. I'll get into that another time. So I'll get in the end just after, like, not another time, but like in a second. Yeah, in a second. So, um, so she says there's no security from any country, nor any government, nor any political party, nor any leader of our times, um, because they pull the strings of all humans in those positions. And today they are called custodians. The watchers, the caretakers, the corrupt brotherhood, the three protectors, the Kujijis, the energy absorbers, like, and the parasites. And I kind of believe that shit 110%, because it's no reason why this government is as corrupt as it is. Is no reason why they poison our air, poison our water, poison our food, the stuff that she talk about. Why they whitewash, or not, this has nothing to do with race. When I say whitewash, I mean dumb down, or miss, or tell the uh, lies or whatever about our history to us. Uh, there's so many things that they do that is evil to keep this veil over our eyes. So I do believe uh, this has a lot of factual information in it that I happen to agree with. Um, so she also talks about how human beings was already here on the planet, on our individual domes before this parasitic race, the custodians, visited the Great Dome. And if you see this white wall of ice surrounding these 178 domes, this whole big circle that encloses the other 178 domes will be the Great Dome. And she gets more into that in later chapters. But according to her, these custodians came from somewhere past the Great Dome, and once they came to the Great Dome, they teeter on the edge of the Great Dome. Great Dome, I guess, is where the majority of their society is at this point. But they once they entered here, they then colonize each and every one of these individual domes for the most part. Some of them are not colonized, but majority of them are, according to her. Um, these 178 domes is what she would call known lands. Anything outside of these 178 domes will be outside of the Great Dome, which will be unknown lands to her. Okay, with that said, they unknown to us, period. Right? Um, what am I saying? Well, hold on. Let's go into a next segue. So, Chapter 2, the Great Dome, which I just explained to you what she is saying is the Great Dome, and so how to be able to penetrate Pacific domes. She talks about that. Um, each one of them each dome she calls a circle environment, and she also um, goes on to talk about how um, each circle environment has their own ecosystem. So I guess you could say we're sort of living in a terrarium, would be my best way of describing it, where you can enclose and hold entire ecosystem inside of a little bubble, and it's self-sustaining, because of its enclosure, and able to, you know, thrive actually very well as far as plant life and animal life and things of that nature. So each one of these circle environments she talks about has its own um, terrarium. Look, it's like a terrarium. It's like a fucking terrarium. Okay, pretty much. That's what she's saying. Again, I'm summarizing. I'm summarizing so that way I don't have to read to you guys the whole um, book in each chapter. You know what I mean? Because it's too much information to uh, get into. So she talks about how each one of these circle environment are connected, and each one of them have their own enclosure, dome, or ice wall that you have to penetrate in order to get to them if you're not entering through the water. It is mind blowing. Um, the information that's presented in this book. It's mind blowing the information that's presented into this book because uh, it's a lot of us wouldn't believe it. Wouldn't believe that. Oh, she come from a land of giants. So there's 178 different circle environments outside of ours, or so forth and so forth. Oh, we've been reset by from great cataclysms, and I mean, there's a lot that goes into play when it comes to uh, this book, and understanding the book and understanding what she is talking about. So let's just go directly, just dive right into it, get past the very beginning, because we kind of been stuck on the beginning. The custodians was the ones who attempted to enter certain other lands, blah blah blah, but couldn't get in, blah blah. So she goes into all of this stuff, and the third chapter of the book, when she dives deeper into the custodians, these parasitic beings, um, and like I told you, she says very little is known about them because they come from someplace else outside of the 178 different domes. However, there are a group of beings called the Anunnaki who preside within these 178 different domes, who are also parasitic, as she would describe it. And she talks about them and how they have collaborated, or I guess came to some type of terms of agreement or treaty arrangement with these custodians, so that the two of them can control the 178 different domes together. Now this is very interesting, so that they can control them together. So I'm going to move forward so I don't go too far ahead. And I'm just going to talk about some known facts that I put together, me, from my G.A.A.B network, my Ionic Spirit. I put this together. I'm going to talk about some known facts. And in these known facts, one of the ones that I am going to talk about is Antarctica, right? Antarctica, formerly known as Iceland. Okay. Antarctica is, I've been fascinated with Antarctica for a very long time, for very good reason. And a lot of it, some of it I spoke to you about when I spoke to you about Admiral Byrd and him going through this big opening in Antarctica and founding a whole nother civilization there that was highly more sophisticated than ours, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that to me was very fascinating. In addition to that, it's very fascinating to have a whole damn continent loaded with ice that is that we can explore. Not, so I found that very interesting. And I've always found it interesting. So moving forward, if you Google Antarctica, it'll tell you that Antarctica is the southernmost continent, right? And site of the South Pole. It is virtually uninhibited, ice covered landmass. So virtually, it's an uninhibited, ice covered landmass. Most cruises to the continent visit the Antarctic Peninsula, which stretches towards South America. So this is what when you Google it, there's the information that's gonna find uh, find about it, which I find is very interesting. That is virtually uninhibited, it's virtually ice covered landmass. So basically, if it was nice virtually ice covered landmass, they wouldn't be able to know what the fuck is on the entire continent. But of course, that is a lie. It's a fucking lie. Pardon my French. It's a lie. When we look at Iceland, this is an Arctic map of Iceland. This map is taken 1895. And as you can see in Antarctica, there they fully documented every nook and cranny of the continent. The continent was fully documented. In order for this continent to be fully documented the way it was, it has to be inhibited by a specific number of people to do this. Okay. So I find it incredibly ridiculous when they say it's virtually uninhibited, virtually ice covered landmass, even though it is ice covered, but it's been inhibited. It's right here. It says the population is 1,000 to 5,000 people, but and it's seasonal on that number. That's a lie. It's a fucking lie. Here it is right here, plain as day. Over a century ago. Okay? Clearly inhibited, clearly documented, ice covered or not, they know what's going on, you know. But if you look at today's modern map of Antarctica, this is what they give you. Just around the outskirts, something that I mentioned before in my last video, just around the outskirts. That's it. That's all they're going to give you. A lot of it they don't even show you anymore because it's top secret. So they won't even put it on the map that you can even see it. But 100 years ago, you can see all of that. And it's not that, oh, some of the ice caps melted and blah blah blah. No, that stuff is still there. You just don't have access to it because they don't want you to have access to it. That's something to think about. That's something to think about. So, and this area even is not on this map, but if you study Antarctica or stuff like that, you'll see that this would be a geomagnetic area, blah, 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 blah. The closer you get to the pole, blah, 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 the more geothermal activity. There's a lot going on over there. But nonetheless, at least back then, you're able to have more true factual information about it. So clearly they're lying. They lie to us about our own continents, our own land, our own geography. Uh, what do you think are they lying about the 178 different circle environments outside of our own? Absolutely, they are. This image right here that you see is a enlarged skull found in Antarctica. Now, of course, there's been other discoveries in Antarctica: dinosaur bones, frozen forests, all kind of stuff have been found in the ice in Antarctica. But this one I want to pay particular attention to because when she talks about where she's born, she talks about she's born in a land of giants, right? Land of giants, and how these giants are our allies. Are our allies. Um, and so it's interesting to see that they are finding giant skulls in the ice in Antarctica. Now, this one is a normal skull side by side, so you can see the difference in them, but nonetheless, uh, they are both eerily similar. Look at the eye sockets. I gotta go back to that. The eye sockets on this giant skull very similar to the eye sockets of a modern human. The nose structure, look at that, damn near identical to that of a modern human. The jaw, okay, and mouth and teeth, damn near identical to a modern day human. But these are giant beings, and this is what we see ourselves as now. This was found in the ice in Antarctica. Now, that's interesting because, again, she talks about giant beings in this book. A lot about giant beings in this book. Um, so we're going to make sure we focus on the aspect of giants. And can we find factual evidence of giants in on Earth in our circular environment? And the answer is absolutely we can. Here is a prime example of one. Okay, found in Antarctica. All right. So now what I really want to go through is really pay attention to a lot of old maps. And what that does allow us to focus on the geography of the world and changes and lies and shit that they have told us. So this is important because we're talking about 178 different circle environments, 178 different circle environments that we don't know about, that is untold or unknown to us for whatever reason, because they don't want us to know. So what we need to know is have in our minds to figure out, is this image, is this the actual map of the world? Or is it the globe that we see currently? That's something that we need to really question ourselves. If they can lie to us about our own geography, do you think for any reason under the sun that they gonna not lie about this? Of course, man. Come on. It's 178 different worlds. It's bigger than anything we could ever freaking imagine. You know what I'm saying? So again, we're going to talk about the old maps and geography. And I'm like to focus on Africa. And I put this little tit note down here because sometimes, I do a lot of research and sometimes I forget. Oh man, damn, I got so much. Let me make sure I know what I'm putting in the slide. So, of course, this is a map that was taken during the Punic Wars. Anybody know anything about the Punic Wars? That's a whole nother history that we need to get into, as far as Rome, uh, Germany, uh, Spain, all of these things at this time being colonialized, war upon war upon war upon war upon war after Babylon. So, um, at this point in time, all of the world was already mapped out. Okay. All of the world was already mapped out. And if you actually pay attention and focus, you'll see Barbaria. You up here, look at this. All of this stuff different now. Hold on, let me plug in my shit. Different, 100% different. 100% different than the maps that you see today. 100% different. than the maps that you see today. Oh shit. Yeah. And because when it comes to geography, these people, this your land, this what originally name or whatever. When it's time to go back and research after they already divided your history, separated your people, enslaved them and everything like that. If you want to go back and look into your true history, who you are, your heritage and your culture, you'll never be able to find it because it's all now stripped away from you and turned into a fucking lie. Right? Turn into a lie. If you go here, look at this. Now you could still see up there in a previous map, you can still see a lot of the names still the same. Okay. A lot of the names still the same, right? You can still see. But look at this. Negro land, Ethiopia, right? Look what it says. Country is wholly unknown to the Europeans. At this point, these Europeans are documenting. Yeah, they're documenting your left and right, your people, your land, your resources, everything. They document you left and right. But the maps of the world was already documented long before they ever came over there. It invaded those lands. Okay. It was already documented, already there for the world to know all of these wonders. Trading already taken place, iron already done, you know, mined and, copper, gold, all of these things already in existence. So, you know, you have to pay attention to what is happening here. What is happening here. And they change all of this stuff around. So you now will never know what Babylon has changed up and lied to you, all of this. And when I say Babylon, I'm talking about all of this. If you look here in Arabia and you go into Syria, right here, Syria, them, and you go down and you'll see what is now modern day Iraq, Iran, all of that stuff, you know, former history, black history, now is manipulated to to a whole bunch of lies, and now great wars still happening over here because they think that this is the land of Jesus, or they think this is that and this is that and that is that, and they're all fighting over a bunch of bullshit that they don't even know that is not even true. They're all fighting over a bunch of bullshit. I'm going to repeat that they don't even know that is not even true. And then you got your Americans, all of the Negroes. Look at this. All of them that has naturally migrated from Africa into America, from right over here on this tip of the land, that take it straight into the Caribbean, South America, and North American lands. And I spoke about this, and I not this broad, but in one of my other documentaries in the past about African Americans don't want to associate themselves with being called Negro because of slavery and all of the negative impact that the word Negro has attached to it now because of Jim Crow and slavery. Doesn't change the facts that your ancestors, my ancestors, our ancestors knew exactly who they was and identified themselves from the land that they hailed from. So disassociate ourselves with it because we don't want to be categorized as a Negro or as a person that comes from that stereotypical slave, post-slavery uh, heritage is there. But you can't just because it's there doesn't define who you are. It's just a part of history. But knowing where you come from helps define who you are, not just what happened to your people during, throughout history. But you see, they lie. You see, they lie. And then when you find these old maps and you're talking about, you know, 264 BC to 146 BC, and they put in here wholly unknown to Europeans, they put it in there some kind of truth. And I'm gonna get into the Punic Wars in a different time. This particular date is, some of the most common time of the Punic Wars. Uh, if you know anything about BC, you don't not count upward like we do now, 2001, 2002, 2023. That is how we monopolize our time today. But back then, during these times, you would count down backwards. So 264, 263, 262, blah, 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 et cetera, down to 146, 145. Keep going, keep going, keep going, down to zero. That or 180. It's like a reset of exactly what she's talking about. It's like a reset. Whole different now time reset. All of this is forgotten about. So then we don't connect ourselves to it. We don't connect ourselves. When we look at the map and we see this right here, we think, oh, this is just Egypt right here, blah, blah, blah. But no, you don't see nowhere on the ancient map where it's a terminology of Egypt. Not one place. But that's what we forget, that all of that shit is fucking man-made bullshit, right? We forget that when we see Abyssinia, right? Addis Abba, all of this thing, that this is Ethiopia over here, blah blah blah, just Trampoli. No, Ethiopia, all of this. And if you go back further and further and further, you'll see damn near Ethiopia, the entire continent of Africa outside of the Sudan. So let's focus and remember our history, that they have lied to us there. They are lying to us now. Right? Lying to us now. Let's bring it into a full view there. Right? And look at this one. This one is in the year that we know, which or what they would say, right? 1710. Look at this. A lot of the stuff still the same. All of this still Ethiopia, like Guinea. Look at all of this. Still the same, right? The flags, right? A representation of the same, what we just saw previously. The people, you know, what we just saw previously. Let me go back a little bit. Right? The people. Right? Look at that. The flags. That will change it. Change it. That for come don't recognize who you are, Dread. You will recognize who you are. Right? Because they love to lie to you. They love to reset all of this to some new matrix bullshit that you can't relate to. That when it's time for you to go back and look at for your history, it's all gone. It's very. You go here, it's not that. You go there, this is not that. These people not there. This people not there. And let me tell you, they just the same way they divided the land, they divided the people. Okay. Look at this one. Yeah, 7045. 1745, right? Look at it. Look at this. It's amazing how they have got us coming and going from the lies that they have told us. Look at this one, 1829. Still, you can find some truth all the way dating back into fucking, 265 BC. From 1829. Bits and pieces of the truth. Bits and pieces. You can find it still, but a lot of it is gone. As the year changed, 1853, all of this now gone. Look at it. No more Barbaria, Bahari. Look at it. It's called now Lower Egypt, nah? Because they have, at this point in time, fully integrated themselves into the land. Look at that. Lower Egypt, Central Egypt, Upper Egypt. All a bunch of bullshit. This just Africa. This all Nubia and Ethiopia. Over here, off to the side on this side would be Sudan. But the lies, bro. The lies. It's beyond lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. You can't take it no more. Now all of this change. Look at it. From Ethiopia. Look at it. All changed. Nambia, Botswana, Zimbabwe. Look at it. It's ridiculous. Swaziland, Mozambique. And if you go there, these Africans would tell you that they are from Zimbabwe. They won't even connect themselves to Ethiopia. They won't even know they're Ethiopian because they wouldn't even have connection to the old former history. You understand? And look at the way in Africa. Look at how they can't even travel from one land to the other without needing some type of passport to get from one part of Africa to another part. All of this is just one land that normally used to be there, but you can't even do that. They fighting against each other for bullshit. Ethiopians, Trimpoli, they all fighting against each other for bullshit, stupidity that they believe is true. It's exactly what she talked about in this book. The brainwashing, the lies and manipulation that they have put on people, and we all fighting for nothing. We're not fighting for our freedom. We're fighting for nothing. This is bullshit that's in the matrix. And we gotta stop that shit. We gotta stop that. We gotta stop it. We gotta know to do better. We gotta know to do better. So she talked about these giant people, giant beings, right? That are, some of them friends and some of them foe. So if you read the book, she talk about the Anunnaki beings and how they was giants. Okay, but these are foe. They're not our friends. They're not our peoples. They don't do nothing good for us, and they're nothing good about them. They just as bad as the custodians that she talk about as being parasites to the race, right? And there's different types of giants, she says, called the Anakim giants, who are friends to us, but in the past maybe have done some wicked shit too, but over time have become friends to us. So what we want to really focus on and see if what she's saying could be found in some type of findings, right? And as far as proof of giants, these giant beings that she's talking about, let's just see. One, we was just showing Africa, and we're going to get into other places outside of Africa, but let's just focus on Africa for right now and the proof of giants. And this is an image of Akhenaten. Now, I want you to pay attention to this image because in this image, you're going to see three different size of beings: small, medium, large, giant. You might as well say giant, right? Look at the head of Akhenaten. Just look at it. Elongated head, giant being, giant human, elongated head. Another human without an elongated head. Another human. And then another human, smaller than them, without an elongated head. Look at the detail. Look at the detail in the hieroglyphics. So I want you to pay attention to this. This is very important because when she's talking about giants, we're talking about finding proof, if there was any proof left behind. And it's very factual because it goes into Horus. It goes. You could go on and on and on in Africa finding this type of proof, and better believe if these beings was all of the same size, they would have made them all the same size. They was very, very smart, very intellectual. They know, very detailed, very structured and organized. If these was people were all of the same size, that would have made them all the same size. If they was white, they would have made them white the same way they made the rays, the sun yellow and gold is shining down the rays of the sun. They would have made that and interpreted into the images you see here. You even see the straps of the sandal white. Everything, if they wanted to do it, they would have done it. That's how sophisticated they was. And we got to think with common fucking sense when we're looking at this, when we see these images, when we pay attention to the hieroglyphics, when we're reading the hieroglyphics, all of this, it has to be logical. It has to be done with a perception of common sense and logic. If it's not, then you ain't looking at it correctly. I'm so sick of tired of seeing this on Ancient Aliens as some alien bullshit. This is a human being. So it's fascinating. Also, it's fascinating. Look at this one, image of Horus. You see, he's holding his flagship pole, right? He's wearing his headdress, right? He's holding the ankh, things of that nature. They show him. Now, when she talk about this beings of Anunnaki, right? She says that they built the pyramids, and every planet or circle environment that they've ever visited, they've built and established a pyramid onto that circle environment. We also know on our circle environment, we have a lot of pyramids beyond the Great Pyramids of Giza. I'm just talking about them now, but I will show you many, many more pyramids on our planet. Okay, many, many more. And these are not the pyramids of Giza, not even the oldest. Because if you go all throughout Africa down into Ethiopia, pyramid after pyramid after pyramid after pyramid, before these ones were even built. But anyway, that's another history to get into another time. I'm just trying to show you some of the stuff that she's talking about. She says that these beings, these Anunnaki beings who established these pyramids, their dominance onto the circle environments or whatever, also try to mystify themselves by wearing these headdresses that will make them appear like they are not human. Make them appear like they are not human, but they are human. Make them have some type of mystery to them, some kind of mysterious element. But at the end of the day, they are humans. Now, parasitic humans, I don't know. I can't say. I wasn't born at that time frame. But I can see a vast amount of history left behind from these type of beings. And if they was parasitic, that puts my ancestors in a place where we were doing unholy things. Because if you look at all the history, all of this is black history. All of this is black people history. And I would hate to be associated with a group of bands that was considered parasitic at any point in time in our history, based off of the stuff that has happened to us when it reversed itself. So if you look at it, so she talks about that, but what can we say? Is this the Anakim or is this the Anunnaki, right? Or is this somehow associated with the custodian that she talks about, right? But she says that these giants, these Anakim, okay, and I would, uh, from what I'm getting from her readings, are damn near the same as the damn Anunnaki beings were our allies. And if you look here on all the hieroglyphics, you will see that they were allies to us, all the knowledge presented. And this is another image of Horus, okay, and another Egyptian deity. And if you look here and you see Horus, and this is how you could start reading some of the hieroglyphics, you'll see that. Look at his headdress here. Exactly the same. Look at his headdress. See the cobra. You see the cobra. You see everything. The body, the tail of the snake, everything enclosed inside of the sun disk. You see everything is there. You see him holding the same key. You see him holding the same flagship pole. You see, this is Horus. And you see here the headdress is different because these are two different deities now. And when you read the hieroglyphics, let's go into that. I just want to go into that. I want to touch that for like a second. You have this is the most popular book to learning the hieroglyphics and understanding is the Egyptian Book of the Dead. This book is grossly misinterpreted. I know because I read hieroglyphics. And if you read the hieroglyphics, like this whole story, look at this. They got whole stories in here telling you what damn it, telling you what they are trying to uh relay. But if you see my notes and let me go back. I'm sorry. You see, I've highlighted, I've wrote little sub notes, I've wrote a bunch of things in the book. So somebody find my book, they'll be able to read hieroglyphics. Everything in this shit is misinterpreted, is a lie. The whole book is a lie. Okay. The story that they presented in this book is false. When you read the hieroglyphics, majority of the hieroglyphics is a story about each family, each deity, who they married to, the children that they had, who their children's married to, what lands they migrated to. It talks about everything from Horus, right, to Osiris, right, and beyond that to Amen, to Thoth. All of this is in the hieroglyphics. All of this is a story about their life, the spiritual sciences that they brought to into existence, that they birthed into existence, mathematics, irrigation, medicine, electricity. I mean, you name it, it's all here for you to see. All here for you to see. Osiris, Horus, Isis, every bit of that story. Amen. And we say it all now. Every time we say prayer, we say amen. Every time whatever we say, it's all connected. People don't even realize what the fuck they talking about. Or everybody who Bible thumping, Isis, Horus, Osiris, not even really the whole Jesus story, Mary, Jesus, all of that comes from this. All of that, it comes from this. They worshipers of science, okay, through and through and through. And each one of these deities brought some type of science into our existence. Each one of them did. So, I mean, I just wanted to do a little brief segue on this because it's important that we as Black people know Black history. It's important that Caucasian people know, which they already know Black history. They know this 100% through and through. It's important that all of us have an understanding and are on the same page when we start to decipher stuff like this, 178 worlds. Right. This image was taken in 1953, the one that you're looking at on the screen. That we all kind of having the same understanding. That at some point in time when this did exist, there is relevance to what she's talking about. I like this image because it really gives you an idea of size to scale. And they drew stuff to scale. If you look on the previous old maps that I showed, you'll see that they had a scale right on the map to show you that they drew this to scale. So they was extremely sophisticated in mathematics and architecture, science, all of that stuff. And if you look at this image here, you'll see the difference in size. Look at her leg. Look at it in comparison to this leg. And if you you can just see her leg is just, her whole entire leg, all the way up to her hip, is just this one person thigh. So if these three beings was to stand up, they would be 2 times her size. And we're talking about giants here. They show you that these human giants at some point in time really did exist. Okay, somebody could argue, well, this is a child and these are adults, but I don't know much children, if they are a child that's fully developed with breasts. They even show the wrinkles in the girl's stomach, navel, everything. I mean, it's too detailed to not be able to take away the scale of it. The scale, this is purposely done for this one to be this tall, this one to be this short, this one to be this height. It's purposely done. The details, you can even see the jewelry, the arm jewelry is purposely done. If they wasn't different in size like this, they wouldn't have done it. When they want them to all be the same size, they make them all the same size. So at some point in time, you have to say, okay, she's talking about giants. Can we find proof of giants? Absolutely, we can find proof of giants. Here, the skulls left behind. Archaeological findings of bones left behind on the planet clearly show a giant did exist here. Elongated head. Look at the head. Elongated head. Elongated head. It's there, plain as day. So it's some truth into what she's talking about. And when I'm talking about they sophisticated, I want you to look at this article. This is published in the New York Times, February 17, 1923. Okay, this is the year my grandmother was born. Okay, 1923. Here they have untouched splendors. They publish in this, right? And King Tut's his tomb was open, revealing undreamed of splendors, still untouched after 3,400 years. 3,400 years prior to this date right here, 1923. February 17th, 1923. It was so sophisticated back then. It was beyond. We talking about all of this long before they start publishing newspapers, before this modern society coming to existence. Our ancestors was extremely, extremely sophisticated, so far beyond anything that we can even imagine right now. You know, and look at this, they close it off. You know, splendor of the tomb, right, of King Tut. Look at it, close it off. You know, and then tell you why. Look at this. I mean, it go on, and I just put these in here as examples so you can see that this is not a joke. These are real articles. That's real history. These are real facts. This cannot be dissolved. This is all factual history of how sophisticated our ancestors was. That giants did at some point in time roam this earth, roam the planet, and at some point in time, we were all working together. What she is talking about right here with these Anakim giants, all working together, and that they are from the lands beyond our Antarctic ice walls. And then this is another one. Look at this. This is the Daily Telegraph, right? This one was sent March 4th, 1935. An entire subway system found below the pyramids. New discoveries in Egypt, etc., etc. Colonnaded hall in rock, blah, blah, blah. 2,005-year-old chambers, so forth and so forth. In Cairo on Sunday, a subway connecting, so forth and so forth. The Euphrates, so they're talking about the Euphrates pyramid, which is, if we go into this now, we're talking about the Euphrates pyramid, you're talking about Euphrates river, you're talking about going into making a pyramid that goes a subway now that's going into what we modern day Arabia, blah 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 blah. That's how this is how deep, far long beyond anything we could ever imagine. I ain't talking about that. And then you get into Syria, you get into Iraq, you get into Iran, you get into the history over there, you get into a lot of lies that they teach us the history over there. That's Babylon, all the way through and through. They try to cover up all of this shit. And they have you fighting wars over bullshit. Look at this. This is an Aztec calendar. I'm gonna put a clear photo there, but that particular one was found in Africa. But yet, nonetheless, the Mayans and Aztecs was in America, South America. So it's just like, how is it possible that thousands of years ago, they so sophisticated, they got subways, they got cities, they got pyramids, they got this, they got that, they got that, agriculture, water irrigation systems, you name it, they got it. Spacecraft, flying craft, everything you can fucking imagine, they had it. That we can't understand. How is it possible that we can't understand the connection? Is right there in plain sight. She might be the one to talk about it in this book in great detail. By the end of the day, it's always been there. And I put this together just based off of the history that I know of. So, and if you can't prove it to be untrue, then it can only be true. So until I can prove this to be untrue, I'm going off of relevance that there's some truth to this. Right? And we're talking about now let's go into Sumeria. Well, you just seen the train going to the Euphrates River, all of that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Mesopotamia, Sumeria, all of that stuff. That's modern day Iraq, Iran, Syria, all of that shit. But before it was in Iraq, Iran, and all of that, it was in Africa. And particularly, we want to focus on the Sudan and Africa before it goes over there. And I can't put that all in this particular presentation, but I will put it in another presentation so that you can get the actual facts and you can see the actual history from the Sudan into Babylon. But from the Sudan, when you focus on that, you have to focus on the Darwinian Indian from India that come into Africa. This is important because you don't get any of this history if you will never understand it if you do not connect the dots. And India and all the many different gods and so forth, Krishna, Ramba, whatever, for all of these, this Vishnu, blah, blah, blah. All of this comes into play when you're talking about Sumeria. All of that comes into play into Africa, into the Sudan, which then goes into Mesopotamia, Sumeria, Babylon. Okay. I cannot, it's too much history for me to put into this slide. Again, it's too much history for me to put into this slide. But it's truth 100% through and through. And I'm going to give you notes. This is me. I'm paraphrasing, giving you little notes and tips that you can look into for yourself. If I'm lying, I am fucking flying. If I'm lying, I am dying. Whatever fuck you want to phrase. Okay. But there is true. So I ain't talking to Samaria, I'm talking about giants now. This is the original photo, right? And this is funny. This to me now, this now I know for certain she's talking about these Anunnaki beings because when she talks about it, let me see if I could find the exact page. Okay. So we're talking about these giants who shook the power of the Anunnaki. There's the Anakim who come and who working with us. Okay, Anunnaki lands. Here we go. Y'all see this right here? I don't know if you can see it. Chapter 4 in the book, 178 different domes behind the ice walls. One, the Anunnaki lands, right? So when she's talking about this, and she's describing these people, the Anunnaki, another of the colonizing and parasitic races that is sickening the other worlds, manipulating and controlling the children of the children for years and years. Another one of our enemies, a hostile power and hungry race. They are the creators of the pyramids, and they build these structures into all worlds that they visit. Now, I spoke to you about that, about the pyramids, but she also goes into a point where they was overthrown, and we were then the pyramids and everything, they were overthrown by the Anakim and regular humans. And then at this point in time, the Anakim gave us all of this knowledge. Okay. And that is what you would see on the hieroglyphics, all of this knowledge that between giants and human race that was left behind so that we could uplift ourselves. But in the meantime, she talks about these Anunnaki beings as well, another part of the giant human race that are parasitic. And when she describes them, you really have to like read into this, right? When she describes them, she talks about they use a technology, right, to attack other worlds, an incredible technology. Look at this. It's extremely advanced, right? So weapons of destruction, and this is the also the faculty they use to enter the other domes and frighten any race in those domes, right? And then she characterized them as using portals for transportation, and that they have once defeated the custodians, which is how that treaty came about, where the custodians and the Anunnakis now work together. But if you go on, let me just I'm trying to show this to you in real time and also read it to you at the same time, right? It says that the Anunnaki race is confused in several stories that are told in our land, the known land, which is this land right here. Under our dome, they are stories that are told in casual but often deliberate ways and told to us as them being reptoid or reptilian beings. But the reality is that they are just human beings, very tall stature, and can reach up to 5 meters. This is clearly what she's saying. They live in an arid zone with very little vegetation, and or they are surrounded by the waters of Horus, which seem to be parasitical in beaches, have parasitical beaches. It says that in the waters that surrounds them live snake-like animals that can measure up to 55 meters long, and that these Anunnaki beings do not like visitors from the outside. You're going to read it right there. How many of you have watched damn TV? Ancient Alien this, Ancient Alien that, Ancient this, Ancient that, History Channel, reptilians, blah, 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 blah. All of this bullshit about them. This, I really like the first time that I actually could say I find some truth into this. Everything else on the History Channel and all of that bullshit, garbage, trash, lies. And if you look at them clearly, look at this. You see that they are human. They are human. This is a man. These are men. Now, tall in stature, can I believe it? I do believe it. Look at this. Human, 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 human. Look at it. Tall in stature. I believe it. Look. And if you go into these other some biblical ancient books or whatever, you start going into Nimrod and all of this damn shit about the Anunnaki or beings, the stories that come from the history. I'll get into that another time. But right now, we want to focus on stuff that she's talking about and how they mystify themselves using those headdresses and shit like that so that they seem more mystical, but they just, in fact, tall human. And then she talks about the color of their skin, yellow or greenish sometimes. And they leaders, although the leaders can have a totally different tonality, so some of them can be white, black, whatever, red, yellow, green. We got yellow man, brown man, white man. Why is it so far-fetched that they're the same like us, just tall? You feel me? But she talks about all of that. She talks about how they wear some type of flying device on their backs, and it's just a lot of information in here. So, and it even though this is just a lot of information in this book, so let's just focus on some of the stuff that she pinpoint out. Tall, first of all, human. Well, clearly we could see that they have some type of technology. Clearly we could see that, and all the historians call this some type of tree. This thing right here, but that ain't no damn tree. Okay, first off, anybody with a brain could see this is not no damn tree. Okay, some sacred tree crap. You can see the rods. Look, 1, 2, 3 rods right there in and of itself, emitting something, and it ain't roots. And these are not flowers. Okay, and I'm gonna go try to look a little bit more into that. You see on original carvings, they also have cuneiform text hieroglyphics there to read. I can read hieroglyphics, but I cannot read cuneiform right now enough to say where I can understand what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, this one, like when you fade it out, let's try to get out all of the bullshit and you go into that. You can see this right here is emitting some type of light, and this is you just fading out in stone. You could clearly see, look at this, they have some kind of flying apparatus on their backs, and they're fully clothed. It ain't like this is growing out of their skin, out of the wings of their back. No, they are fully clothed. You can see their clothes. Okay, you can see that there is some kind of device strapped onto their backs. Okay, you can see their face. You can see that this is some kind of device, some kind of technology. I cannot tell you what it is as of yet because I don't know, but this is definitely not a tree. Okay, here's the original. Okay, and here is when you're fading it out to try to figure out what is happening here. If we go look farther and farther into this, you can see that there's some kind of device in their hand, constantly, always some kind of device and some kind of satchel holding something going on. They are doing something with this device. I cannot tell you what it is yet. They do have some type of flying apparatus on their back. That is there clearly to see. They do wear this kind of headdress stuff to mystify them, the same way that you saw it in Egypt. Right? Well, in Africa, let me not, I don't even want to use the word Egypt, bunch of bullshit. But the same way you see in Africa, the same way you see here. It's the same. Okay. And I'm gonna get a little bit more into it. And you can see, look at this. They hop on watches. They have technology. It could be a watch, it could be a compass around it, it could be something, but they definitely got it on. You understand? Another one to more clarify shit that's going on. Look at this. You can see again, let me go back, the apparatus on the back with the wings, some kind of flying apparatus. And we can't say it don't exist because right now we have jetpacks that exist. They're not out to the public, but they exist. You know, and here again, here's the rod. Look at it, some kind of base here, right? Some kind of poles here, some kind of thing emitting something out the top and the sides. It's something going on. This is a technology. Okay, this is a technology. We just don't know what type of technology, but it's definitely a technology. All right, here's another one. Same fucking thing. Look at it. Here's the rods. Here's the whatever device it is emitting, whatever it's emitting from the top and the sides. And here they're actually pointing to this flying device, spaceship or flying device or whatever like you want to call it. They still also got the apparatus on the back, the satchel carrying whatever they're carrying to this device or whatever. Boom, boom, boom. It's there, plain sight. They do it in so many different ways, telling you the same story. This is some type of technology. This is not a tree. Look at this. You can see the base. Look at it. You can see the base. It's the same. You can see the rod. You can see the pole. You can see the top. You can see the top. You can see it emitting something. You can see everything. It's the same. Any which way you want to slice it. But yet our historians of our time tell you that this is some type of tree. Because they stupid. You know what I mean? You got to use your common sense. You got to use your knowledge, your common sense. And this is clearly some type of flying device with a person sitting inside of it. You can clearly see that this is in the sky above, some type of wing device. Maybe it's a plane, maybe it's whatever. I don't know. A jet, whatever. But it's a person operating it inside of it. It's in every single last one, and it's always hovering over, for the most part, this damn technology on the bottom. What does that mean? Look, it's there playing. Same thing. Some type of flying device. I mean, look at that. And again, another thing, some type of technology, some type of flying device over the technology. Here they are in some type of suit or whatever. Again, same satchel pointing to the same thing. Look at it. It's something going on here. Here again, we're talking about giants. We're talking about these Anunnaki beings. Clearly show some of them were giant. Look at it. Some of them are giant. Here he is holding in his hand the same damn thing that they are holding in their hand when they are messing with uh this apparatus. You see it. If nobody can't see it, he holding the same thing. Okay, what this wheel thing is, I don't know, but in some of the stone carvings, you'll see this when they are in battle. This device as well. Look at this. This now clearly they are in battle here. Clearly, it is cuneiform writing and on the stones. Here, you see this type of flying device that you saw in all the previous carvings, hovering over the captors. And clearly, these are captors because you can see, look, their hands are tied behind their backs with rope. So they're captors. And you can see this big giant stepping on one of them. Okay. So we really gotta. So if she's talking about these was parasites and Babylon, clearly you can see what it is. Giant human that are horrible people. And when it comes to these Anunnaki beings, right? Look at the nonsense that they're doing to people. They clearly have some type of technology, which she talks about. They have some type of technology. We don't know what it is, but clearly they are using some type of technology that they are using to conquer and take over these people or peoples of the world. And if you look on their writings, this is also found in Sumeria. You can clearly see they show you they have flying ships. I don't care if it's a plane. I don't care if it's a fucking what we would describe as a UFO. I don't care even if it's a helicopter. You will see this here in Sumeria, Babylon. You would see this and also in Africa, other parts of Africa. You will see this in India. You will see this in America. You will see this every single last place on the globe. And this is more pictures of you know, Sumerians, human beings. Clearly, these are human beings. Okay, some they have primitive tools. They also have technology. Okay, and you can see this clear as day. Okay, I mean, look how detailed it is. The information that they have left behind. Look how detailed, from the hair to the rope around the beards to everything to look at it. Look at this. To I mean, it's ridiculous. To the straps on a bag. I mean, it's so detailed, right? Look at this. To the domestication saddles and stuff that they would put on the horses. It's ridiculous how detailed it is. Same exact. Just look at the bed. Look at it. Same exact. And a lot of this, if you see this, it's damn near identical to the ancient Romans and Greeks. Damn near identical. Look, same. From the earrings to everything to the hair, same. Look, and this is interesting because you get to see when you go into Samaria, you get to see white, you get to see the darkest of the dark black, you get to see the brown, all the many different shades of human beings, because in Babylon all was working together. So you get to see all of that, and it's interesting because clearly they Caucasian. You know, this is all you can find. All of this, all the various cultures, all in Sumeria. It's almost amazing, and look how detailed this device is on his back. Look how detailed it is, or whatever he's doing to this. You think it's a plant, but clearly we've already discussed this is not a plant. This is some kind of technology. The mythology that they try to make themselves mystical by wearing these headdresses, same as they did. You just saw it on Horus. The statue or whatever shit is that they carrying and that they telling you about right here in the text. Okay, and you can see the sandals on their feet. The clothes that they wear, so detailed. Okay, Iranic uniform text, very detailed. So when it comes to when she's talking about these Anunnaki beings, and when we go back into Anunnaki, when I do another slide on it, you're gonna see, oh my God, I'm gonna get into some real detailed shit, and you're gonna see the evil of Babylon. Why that shit needed to be destroyed. Thank God it was destroyed. Evil of Babylon. I'm talking about from bestiality to all kind of shit, ritual shit, demon shit, blah blah blah. They stop with their secret society shit, all coming from up out of there. But let's go back and talk, change the tune on that, or what she's talking about, or what I'm talking about rather. As far as I'm gonna go back and tell you more about them Anunnaki, but that takes out some of the mystery of it, because clearly you can see it's human. Clearly you can see, that they have some type of technology. Clearly you can see that this is not no fucking alien bullshit that they have you talking reckless about on TV. No, you know, this is a part of our history that we lost and forgotten, that we've been lied to about, that she's trying to bring some truth to about. And as far as I'm concerned, the history that has been left behind on the planet for us on in this circle environment is proving her story to be true. Now, if you go into India, let's just go into India. We talk about giants in India. Look again, the detailed work and India temples, and the temples in India, how detailed they are. If you compare them to the Sumerian statues and carvings left behind, you will see they also have some type of flying apparatus on their backs. Look at it. It's clear as day. Look, he got it here. Some type of flying apparatus on the back. Look at the size of this being, this person, in comparison to the size of this person. Okay? That's no accident, people. That is no accident. Look at the size of this being in comparison to this being. And when you seen the last one on Anunnaki, you saw tall, medium, short. You saw this done on purpose. It's no accident. Look at the tools. Okay, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. Look at this one. It's in some type of pod. If you was there in life, you will see how tall the structure is. That this is a giant coming in some type of flying device. some type of pod. I see the smile on his face and everything, friendly looking, but you always see they have some kind of winged apparatus, all of them, some type of wing apparatus. All of them have it. Look at this little human right here, little regular average normal sized person in comparison to this giant. It's everywhere. This is India. I just show you Africa. I just show you Mesopotamia, Sumeria, whatever. It's everywhere. Again, some type of flying apparatus. You can see it hanging off of them. You can see normal sized people, and you see a giant. It's all over. It's all over the world. So there's some truth to this. There's definitely some truth to this. Giant, large, smaller, little size, normal size human being. There's definitely some truth to this, and it goes on and on. Look at the flying apparatus on the back. Look, bent down, doing the same damn thing. The damn one of the Sumerian statues was doing. Look how detailed. Look at this human. Look at the backpack. Look at the animals. Okay, the normal size animals we see. Look at the little human, but the size of this one. I mean, it's incredible the detail. Do you think they even show the space on the back? You think they did this by accident? That they made that one large and that one small? Absolutely not. It's no accident. It's incredible. It's incredible. Okay, and it goes on and on and on and on. Okay, it's unexplained. It's unexplained. And look at this, unexplained. Again, I'm gonna go in South America. What is this? This is the NASCAR line, South America. Nobody can explain this. Nobody knows how in the hell somebody drew this damn cat or monkey or whatever for this flying or whatever this is. Nobody can explain this. These lines. This is in Peru. Again, look at this person. Look at this band. Look at the eyes. It got on boots. It got on some type of helmet, some type of suit. It's right there. NASCAR Peru. Okay, some type of creature from the ocean. Who knows who drew this? Who put this there? Was it this beings? This is in Peru. Look at this shit. Look at the arms doing the same damn thing that you just seen in India statues. Doing the same damn thing that you just seen in an Indian statue. Eye sockets, big, blah, 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 mouth, blah, 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 nose, blah, blah, blah. Something going on here. Enlarged cranium. Look at this. This is Incan. Found South America. And Inca, Maya, Aztec, all of that. Look at these. More enlarged craniums. You can't deny something with these giants is real. Again, this is South America. This is left behind a whole bunch of tablets, stone carvings, where they show some type of flying device, some type of creature or person coming out of the flying device, holding their hands the same damn way with the same flying apparatus on their back with one of them headdress regalias on. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Look, same thing. Boom. I just got to go back real fast. Same thing. Look, I mean, you can't deny this. I'm going to go fast through my slide so that I can get back to shit. Same thing. You go back to the ones I just showed you of the Sumerian ones, you will see the same wing device, hands and thing. shit apparatus on their head, flying device on the wall that they carved in stone. Another one, same thing. And this one you can see multiple flying devices ahead, beaming down some type of shit in some type of pod, like we just seen in India, holding the hands in the same damn way. I mean, it's ridiculous. Over and 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 over again. So I put this here. Always remember, for thousands of years, it has been lies, propaganda, the season of false faces and false promises. And this is an old newspaper article that I just thought to take out because it really displayed the truth. This is they put in their old newspapers fucking centuries ago. This is the season of false faces, false promises, and false truth. You know what I'm saying? So basically, showing that slide right there, letting you know what is the deal. You got this book right here. Um, like you can't disprove a lot of the stuff that she's talking about. It's some relevance to it, 1,000%, 1,000%. I mean, and then it's gonna go into lands of Venus, so. But this one right here, with this one, the Anunnaki lands. One we're just talking about, and then we're talking about these. I'm gonna just go back into some of the pages. Okay, some of these custodians and Anunnaki beings that are parasitic to the planets. There's definitely some truth there. Something about there's some truth about the Anakim, the giants that actually helped human beings overthrow these creatures at one point and take over the history at the pyramids. And as I guess you start to see all of this science that they have left behind for us is right there. It's carved in stone. I mean, it's unbelievable when we're talking about, right, the world's beyond ice, right? It's almost fascinating, and I guess we're going to talk about moving on into the next series. He's talking about cloning people, how they have a whole land for cloning people and stuff like that. All of this, we're going to get into it. As you can see, modern technology is already here. We're already doing that. It's a bunch of animals cloned right now. It just goes on and on. It's literally some Star Wars type shit. But when you read this book right here, when you're actually able to read the Book of the Dead, when you're actually able to read hieroglyphics, when you're actually able to learn that all of this whole story is taking you back to Amen, taking you back to Horus, Osiris, take you back to Isis, take you back to Thoth, take you back to all those things, you're going to be able to see, connect the truth, and then you're going to talk emerald tablets. You're going to go into a whole bunch of shit where everything that's going to start to connect the dots to what she's talking about right here in this book. And it's just going to be fascinating. I'm going to get into more detail about it. I do another presentation or live about it at another time. But some people that if you want to really learn hieroglyphics and stuff like that, I really suggest y'all start looking into like Ash for Crazy. You want to learn about all the technology, some of the sciences that they found underneath the pyramids and stuff. I think you should definitely look into Phil Valentine. There's a lot of historians that's done the work for you. They've done the work for you. You could go research and back check their work. Everything they present to you is on point. Um, yeah. So yeah, the Mental Nectar Volume 1, Volume 2, these books that I suggest if you read the Keeper Nagas. This is an excellent book. This talk about Queen Sheba. This talk about the technology, the flying devices that they had during this time, from Ethiopia into Rome, Jordan, all of that shit. So this is interesting. This is interesting, and it's talk about, Black princess of Ethiopia go marry, the king outside of her culture, blah blah blah. She's fascinated with the science, technology. It's a really good book. Um, And I just got so many good books, so many good books. And that I would love to share with you at another time. And also, Tawana, if you ever watch this video, my girl, I love you, whatever, please return my book, uh, Behold the Pale White Horse, because it's been years, probably a decade, and I still don't got my book back. And I haven't even seen it to buy it somewhere else. But nonetheless, uh, I have so many books that I did want to show you, but at this point, I'm just going to start closing out the broadcast because it's been like 2 hours, and I hope y'all had a good educational experience. And I hope I didn't curse too much. Y'all know I love to curse, but and I hope you learned a little bit of something. So I want you to check out that book, Claudio NOCELLI, All the Lands Behind the Great Domes. Uh, Go to his channel. Please check him out. Please buy his book. Please look a little bit more into it. Some interesting facts in here. I'm not facts, but interesting information that I think could be proven by a lot of facts that which I'm trying to show you right now. And thanks for anyone that watches film and join in. I want to just say peace. God bless. Till next time. Hopefully, I keep it shorter. How I do. Peace, peace, peace.